Here we are. Here we are. What is today? Today is the today's
Yeah,
Friday the 13th.
great day.
Bad day to be a Templar, according to lore. That was the day that the Pope decided to kill all the Templars back in the
Never
old
knew
days.
that.
Yeah, it may or may not be true, but it's a cool story.
Nice piece of
Um,
information.
yeah, middle of the summer almost. Doesn't feel like it though. I don't know. It's is it hot over here out there, Art? New Jersey?
It just got hot,
Yeah.
relatively hot the last 2 days. But we're supposed to have rain and cool weather on the weekend.
Yeah, we've got the cool weather you're probably going to get in a couple days right now. A little bit of rain. We'll see. That's
Yeah, we got more wind off the water, which is going to keep us cool, so that's not a bad thing, right?
that's right. Not a
You,
bad thing.
you know, the,
Yeah, go on.
the one thing, I guess I kind of like spring transitioning to summer, right? The days, they get longer
Yeah,
and longer. Then all of a sudden, bang, on June 31st,
it's over.
it's over. The days are getting shorter. I mean, I'd live from April, May, and get okay, the days are getting longer. There's going to be more sun, and June 21st means okay, less sun every day.
Yeah, on the other
Eh,
side of the bell curve. I
Like
know.
son of a bitch.
I don't mind fall, right? It's a
Not on my
change.
fault, but
I don't
yeah,
mind, but
what I do mind is when it's dark at 5 o'clock.
I hate that. I do not like that. I think they should change that. Do it. Whatever they have to do, whatever it is. I don't like it. They did it
No,
for whatever the farming and the trains and all that goofy stuff, but we don't need the farm anymore. We're gonna have robots out there, aren't we, Art?
yeah. Pretty soon robots will be cultivating the fields.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's a lot. I saw them picking, what were they picking? Cherries? Is one thing walking down, it's rolling down the aisle in the middle of the orchard, apples, like 8 or 9 of these arms going out. And this is years ago.
Right.
Now, have you seen, now we're talking robots. Did you see the one robot? It's not a robot, it's behind a tractor and it zaps the weeds with lasers.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been a couple years out too, but it's
Uh,
pretty cool
I,
to
was,
see.
I hope it doesn't hit a poor bunny rabbit or something.
Well, see, you swung into it. You know, animal rights folks get all upset, right?
Right.
But when you farm, you kill everything. Everything. The little rabbits, the little worms, everything, the weeds, everything gets killed to put in our corn and our apples and all that stuff. So anyway. Anyway,
Yeah. So,
um, yeah,
so
what's going on?
I think the most interesting piece of news on the MFP front from this week is we spoke about it last Friday when I got the news, but the partnership with Brother and Ricoh for their A4 devices.
Yeah.
So actually, Ricoh is going to be taking on the Brother Workforce A4 MFPs, which is going to be a combination of black A4s and color A4s.
Okay.
So what does that tell you?
So everything's going to A4.
Well, no, there's just a tremendous amount of growth in A4. Doesn't mean everything's going to A4.
Everything's going to A4, except for the wide format.
Well,
Actually, yeah, go on. Talk to me about that.
AEC companies, architects, engineers are still heavily reliant on A3. They need 1117. They need 12 by 18. We're talking about the office space, and we're not talking about production.
Right.
So the simplest thing the manufacturers could do in my book is to stop making A3 black machines. Just
Oh,
if you want to make 4 or 5 different models, hey, my hat's off to you. But get rid of black, make it all color. Let the dealer decide if he wants to turn on color, right? Or just keep it off. And make them pay for a license. The dealer can then charge the end user for a license. If they want to start with the black unit, they want to turn it into color, okay, you got to pay this license.
So, I mean, you've been talking about that for years, narrowing down the line, right? Why have 5 different color devices or whatever it was?
And five different black A3 devices, and all of a sudden you've got 12 different models. And
right.
all the accessories don't match up for each box. It makes no sense,
Yeah,
right?
I wonder why that hasn't happened. And it must. Well, the production lines are probably the
Bids.
manufacturing lines
They're
are all set
afraid.
up.
They're bids, and they're afraid, right?
Oh, I see. So if someone specs out a system, yeah, you're right. Well, the bid work because if you're going up against if Ricoh did it, for instance, and you know they don't have a whatever, you're gonna put in the bid the specs for the devices that they don't have.
If the specs are
Point.
just for black, they're afraid their competitors, who's still going to sell black, is going to have a better price point and win the
They
bid.
probably would too. They probably
But
would.
at this point in time, when we've got to be 15 years plus into color, right?
Yeah,
Should the cost really?
it
I
should.
understand there's 4 drums and 4 developers, but that price should have come down tremendously in the last 15 to 20 years to make a color box.
Yeah, but that's really thinking outside, though. I mean, but maybe I don't know. I would imagine the actual lines, the production lines, to retool all of your manufacturing lines to skinny it down. That might have the infrastructure's already built. Oh wait, now let's look. Who are the people that are just getting in? Um,
Okay.
Kate. Now, what I haven't seen their line. What are they going the old model with like five or
Yes.
six different?
I don't know of all the models, but I assume they're, from what I understand, they have a black A3 model and a black A and a color A4 model because they're taking on the Fuji boxes, which are
Right,
basically the Xerox, what we call the Xerox boxes,
right.
but they were always OEM'd by Fuji.
Hmm. Interesting.
So
We'll see.
to roll back now, Ricoh takes on these A4 machines, a number of them,
Right.
and it's called their workhorse line, which is it looks like 4, 5, 6 different models, but I did some AI work on these models. And here's where a lot of it just doesn't make sense to me, right? So Ricoh dealers are going to be selling these, but when you look at the cost per page, and mostly everybody in our industry, our clients, they print at 10% coverage. Very few, as you know, you're an MPS, very few print
Yeah.
at that 5% coverage.
Right.
So what we're looking at here from what I did for black without service and support, where is it? I got to find it. I know it's in here somewhere. It's a little over 3 cents a page without service and support, just the MSRP on the supplies.
Really?
Now, that may be okay in a
Right.
CEO's office where he needs his own personal machine and he's only going to print 500 pages or 100 pages a month. I'm not seeing the sense in that at 3.21 cents per page without service and support, and that's the MSRP.
What
When
did,
you go to color
yeah.
machine and you look at 20 cents a page and you just look at the MSRP of the cartridges, the fuser, the transfer belt, and all of that, based on 20% coverage, it's coming up to a little over 20 cents a page.
20 cents a page?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. 20 cents a page.
Okay, that doesn't seem right. I mean, I'm not doubting the number, but it's like, really? And
Um,
that's just all service parts costs, right?
that
Toner
that's
cartridge
without service,
without service, right? So that's,
right?
I need to, in what, 3 years or 2 years or 3 years, I need a new fuser, and that's what that was rolled into the cost of fuser.
Here, let me look at this again. So scratch that.
Okay.
Sometimes AI can make mistakes.
No.
And I'm looking at a mistake here. 2, 4, 6, 8. However, you're looking at 8 cents. What it
Okay.
did was it took each color and it multiplied it by um, by 5%, and then it multiplied it by 20%, which is wrong. It should have multiplied it by 20%. So the cost is coming out to, with an MSRP with no service, of 8 cents per page.
Okay, still high.
That's still high. Yeah, especially when A3s are about 6 cents, 7 cents per page
Well, that
with
assumes though that
service and support.
right. That assumes that people are actually going to use it.
Well, we hope so, right?
Well, they're not. I mean, get all the margin on the equipment because you're not going to get it on the service.
And it's very hard to get margins on,
You won't.
you know, no.
Yeah.
Not unless, I mean, not unless you come up with some type of plan where,
Well,
I don't know,
you
6
can.
cents.
Yeah,
We'll
because
give you the machine and it's 6 cents a page with
oh
a
gosh.
minimum of
Yeah, there you
X
go.
amount of pages a month.
Put your minimum in there with your escalator and a 60-month agreement. Yeah, then you can make some money on that thing. What is what's the MSRP for the unit?
They all looked under 15, under
1,500
1,500
bucks.
and some under 1,000.
So, I mean, why is a salesperson going to sell it? You've got what, 3 points in the hardware, and then you don't get paid on that anyway.
Well, as long as you can add options,
What do they
but
got?
cabinets, tower tray, lower tray. What's interesting is they can add 5 paper trays, which you can do with some of the A4
Yeah, okay.
models
Well, that's
already.
how much is that 5 page? That's got to be expensive, I would assume. But there's no
Doesn't say it
margin
on
on
their
that.
website, but if it's probably got some price. It's probably a little bit pricey to it. You can add a 520 sheet capacity times 4. So
2,000.
basically you can put in 2080 sheets in it, plus have the regular paper tray. But again,
Education, maybe.
how is this going to compare? How is this going to be? I understand it's not going to match that of a Ricoh A4. It's not going to happen.
Well, it depends how you sell it too. I mean, right? It's a gimme. You better hope you got some copiers in there. I don't know.
See, the math, even though the MSRP on the Ricoh is going to be higher, you get to a push point, right? Where X amount of volume dictates you have to go with the Ricoh because the
Right.
cost per page is going to be somewhat cheaper. Now, they may have data on, maybe most of these A4 users are doing under a
That's
1,000
it.
pages a month,
2 reams.
right? And then the math doesn't work out for the higher end Ricoh box.
That's true. Well, most of the A4s aren't high volume for the reasons that you mentioned. And
Right.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but people are printing less.
They are. But however, when you add features like this to these types of machines, a 2022, a 2080 paper tray capacity,
Yeah, I see where you're going.
it doesn't, I mean,
If the
it doesn't make
volume,
sense.
if the volume deserves 2,000 sheets in the paper trays, then it should be an A3. Because I mean, unless
Correct.
I can't figure it out. I mean,
Or Ricoh's own A4 version, which basically has a cost, cost per page on average with service and support is 0.015, no matter how much coverage you put on the page.
on the Ricoh A4.
Ricoh, let's just talk Ricoh A4 black, 0.015, maintenance service supplies, no matter how much coverage you put on the page.
So the brother, okay, yeah. Where's the brother fit then in the Ricoh line and even in the demand
Uh,
pool? I don't know.
MPS maybe? I don't know.
Well, yeah, that again, that's a
But
throw-in.
why wouldn't the Ricohs fit?
The Ricohs would fit.
Well,
I don't
they
know.
would, unless they need a fleet of 30 machines, and the 30 machines are only going to print under 500 pages each and every single month.
Which is
And if
probably
that's
what
the
it is.
case, then the lean would maybe be towards the brother workhorse machines for
Yeah,
that fleet of 30.
it's for fleets of the small, and I bet sled accounts, right? I mean, we are kind of reverting back to the 1-to-1 not exactly, but personal printers, because personally they're not printing. So, but you got to have one just for that one. You need to print 5 sheets every other month or whatever it comes out to.
Right.
So it might it's probably probably they know, they have the science and the numbers down. So it's filling a niche need, and I'm guessing I would lean toward bigger MPS, enterprise level and MPS, remote sled accounts, churches.
Maybe healthcare.
There's something about healthcare that I always forget, but there's something about healthcare. I'm sure it's HIPAA and all that crap. Interesting though. And then you got the brother, you got the new ones from Caton.
Right.
Boy, I don't know.
So then you have a company like Konica Minolta this week. They announced their fastest A4 color machine. That's going to print at 50 black or color pages per minute. I don't know if you saw that,
No,
but
I didn't. Wait a minute. Oh no, that's UV. I did see some UV stuff. A Curio Jet.
correct, on their production machines.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't follow that much.
I saw
Ricoh
Pulp.
sold the MIS thing. We found that out last week, right?
Yeah. And I saw Pulse celebrated their 70th anniversary.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
So does that mean 1955?
50s. Right. Well, I read through it. Weren't they typewriters and no, or
Well, they had to be
dictation
typewriters,
machines or something
adding
like that?
machines,
Yeah.
and probably in the late 60s, early 70s, they got into calculators.
It was dictation too. I remember seeing that on the line. Interesting. Hey, I did see, what is it? So Gemini, the LLM from Google, Gemini,
Right?
they just bragged up something about being able to scan documents in the construction industry.
Really?
Yeah, I think I have it. And of course, it was just a blurb, but it caught my ear, right?
Right.
I don't have the link. Of course not.
Curious how that's
Well, I do have a link. I have a link right
several
to it.
solutions using the name are available for document scanning and analysis in the construction industry.
Native, oh, native vision on PDFs. Oh, okay. So it reads PDFs directly. Gemini.
Is that OPEX?
I don't know. Wow. Gemini 1.5 Pro can analyze visual data from construction sites, identify safety hazards and stuff like that. So it's actually a real world scan.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Hmm. Okay. What else? Canada report.
I think other than the brother gig, a lot of
Oh,
IT news.
well, here's something for you, Art. Is MyQ
Yes.
MPS Monitor from MyQ. They
Yeah.
just announced visual. They can see into wide format,
That I didn't see.
HP wide formats.
Oh, HP.
Well,
Okay.
that's the headline. I don't know what it says anything else. Yeah, if you can see HP, wouldn't you be able to see them all or not?
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure.
But
I mean, some of our programs we can't see into certain wide format machines.
yeah, and even back then, even if you could, you only pick up linear feet. And how do you? Are you billing service on linear foot,
Square.
square foot? Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be linear, now it's all square.
Still, and you're getting those calculations, those stats from the machines, like meter reads. I don't know.
Some we can get them and some machines we can't.
Ah, So do you
So
have to
basically,
physically go out and
it's a manual process.
okay.
Still,
Yep. Well, it looks like, yeah, these are the HP design jets, the page wides, their latex, and even their stitch. So I think
that's
those aren't even AEC, are they?
they're not AEC. Yeah, they're large
Yeah.
format.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Do you know of any software where I can take a digital document? I wonder if AI can do this.
What's that?
If I can take a digital color document
Mm-hmm.
and tell me what the cost per page or the cost per square foot is going to be based on that PDF that I load, depending upon the machine.
Well,
That'd be interesting.
it would have to have obviously all the cost figures somewhere. If it doesn't have it online, you just got to download that information or upload that into the knowledge base. Then it can calculate coverage.
I've got something here. I'm going to start off with, can you tell me the coverage?
You got a PDF?
Yep, of color used for this brochure
Ooh, I wonder if
when
it'll recognize.
using
This will be interesting.
a toner-based
Okay, now you're killing it.
color printer. So all I'm asking now is just for the color coverage. And this is a full color brochure,
8.5 by 11.
8.5 by 11. So it's actually trying to break it down.
It's trying to do by color.
Full color elements like images, color backgrounds, graphics are present on nearly every page. Pages have multiple areas with solid full colors, product images, and large banners. Many pages are color text and backgrounds, especially in headers and footers. So it's given me an average CMYK coverage per page. And here it goes into, it's not sure, it says likely 30 to 50% total coverage. This assumes 7 to 12% per color, which is well above the ISO test page assumption of 5% coverage per color.
Hmm. So it didn't actually
Interesting.
read. It didn't. It sounds like it didn't even look at the PDF. It just pulled out like average.
Well, it said pages have multiple areas with solid fill, product images, and large banners. So it'd be interesting if you can feed it all the information on a specific machine and pummel AI a little bit more with the coverage. And so maybe something like looking at the pixel coverage
Wow.
instead of just the where I
And I
stated color coverage. Look at the pixel coverage.
I think it can do it with just a little. I had an image here that I was working on, and I just asked it, "What's the coverage?" Real simple prompt, and it came back with all the way down to the blues, the yellows, the magentas, and some black. It's a 70 to 80% overall color average or coverage on this document, and it is. It's all color. And it did try and bring it. But I mean, with a little more training, it would wow, yeah. It even gave if the client printed this one, 100 of these at A4 letter size, it would blow through color toner at 5 to 10x the contractual average.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's called any service provider using 20% fair use clause or coverage cap would red flag this as an overage abuse print job. And most cost calculators would show it as a high cost non standard sample. Of course, that That goes to how LLMs are designed. This one isn't necessarily yeah. Oh. This is 4.1. So it's a little more deep analysis. And if it takes in consideration my past conversations, it knew what I was looking for without me actually stating it. Wow. That's more impressive on the LLM side. Yeah, my prompt was in this image, what is the color coverage of the image in the realm of copiers and MPS? That was it.
That's probably a better prompt than mine,
Well, yeah,
which
I mean,
which tells everybody it's all about how you prompt it, right?
it's prompt, it's funny to get, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I call it prompt iteration, right? Start and then go from there.
Right.
And then no one's going to be able to build a super duper prompt right off the bat. And I don't even think the prompts people are designing right now are kind of like almost programming languages. They're not, but they're pretty detailed. And I believe that that'll go away. It's just going to be as simple as, well, like this one. I didn't give it a very difficult question, but it knew who was asking the question and took an assumption as to what context the question was in. I did say MPS and copier, so it did pull that out, but it knows that I've been talking copiers and MPS for all its life.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
So the other thing on the news, if you talk about print devices and Ricoh and Canon and all the everybody in the marketplace,
Yeah.
the only other news I think was interesting, as far as for me, because I resell Ricoh, is they upgraded one of their light production color machines.
Oh,
So, and that was after 4 years, I believe.
wow. So did they make it fat? What'd they do? You said they upgraded or got rid of it?
No, they upgraded from what they call a 5300S to a 5400S. The S stands for scan,
I was
so it
gonna
will
say,
scan, print, and copy.
oh, so what were the changes?
A little faster warm up time. Warm up time has been drastically reduced. Wow. Wow. From 2 minutes to under 30 seconds. Pretty substantial.
Yeah, didn't they get rid of they didn't what's that green regulation? Remember that thing?
Uh, yeah,
I think that regulation went away.
it could have.
Remember reading something about, and this is months ago, one of the regulations that we used to at least pitch, right? That was the whole reason the copier is sucking energy while it's not doing anything. It's keeping everything warm, so the first copy out time is 0.3 seconds.
Right. It'd be like in a preheat standard.
Yeah, it's preheat, so it's always consuming energy.
Right. They made the
Energy Star.
Energy Star. That's it. Right. They made the first copy speed a little bit faster. I
Yeah.
mean, 6.5 seconds to 7.2 seconds. Improved scanning speed, which is good. However,
Well, did they?
how many people scan on production machines?
Oh yeah, nobody does. Well,
Um, so for me, what I would have liked to have seen is just a print only version.
pull that ADF off.
No
Pull the
scan,
scanner out. Yeah.
or no scan, no copy. Why? Why is everybody paying a premium, especially in production, if they don't need it? So
Well,
here's a situation where,
interesting.
remember how we were talking earlier about you don't need as many models?
Right.
Well, here's a situation where you do need another model. You need to offer it just as a print only device. Now, this is in their light production. When
Yeah.
Ricoh and other companies move into their pro production machines, they do have print only, or you can get them with scan and copy and print.
Yeah, it's an option the other way. They
Right.
come print only, but you can option up. So that might be a reason why it's product diversification, light production versus dedicated production. And in some environments, it's aimed at those every now and then walk-ups. But I'm with you. It's like, really? Down in the
And
CRD?
does it cost anything? Is it cost any more to make it without
I would assume it would
the
cost
scanner?
less. I think you can pull the scanner and the ADF off, and
Uh,
then you just have the engine.
right.
You can take the car. I was going to ask you if they sped up the scan speed. Did they change the ADF, or did they just tweak turn a Phillips screw half a notch left or right?
Um,
Yeah,
probably sped up the could have sped up the ADF
yeah, that's it.
on a machine.
Which would be, but still, you're right. I mean, that's interesting. And then it sounds like it's more marketing, right? Your dedicated production devices would go through a different quote unquote dealer channel,
Right.
while your light production, which includes a walk up because it's going into a quote office environment, that occasionally the marketing department would need this weekly or daily, but it's in a marketing department. So some people still think you need to scan stuff in. Or, well, how's the ADF? Could it be a scan station?
Mean separate?
No, no. I mean, it's got a scanner, but could it scan 100 images in?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How big is it? And is it dual?
Um,
It's dual scan now. I keep asking everyone that question, but
it's yeah, they're all dual scan
they're all dual.
nowadays.
Okay.
And I may have gotten away from the link.
All right. Well,
I saw something.
there's a
Where
lot of
is it?
figures. The pricing's coming down. The whole outsourcing your marketing versus bringing it in. And your smaller businesses now can afford light production as long as they don't lose the walk up capabilities in their head. Um, Whatever else, you know.
Here we go. Duplex scanning up to 300 pages per minute, which means
300.
300 pages.
It's 300
So
images, or
that's
is it 300
that's
pages?
odd. That's the first time I've ever heard it referred to as pages per minute
It does say
instead of
PPMs.
images per minute, which would lead me to believe if it's a duplex scan,
How
it's
big is the unit?
two-sided, it's 600 images per minute.
Yeah, but Art, look at can you see it physically? That's almost a ream in the
The
ADF.
document feeders are actually very large. It's not showing me a picture
Okay.
here of it. However, it says to improve scanning speed, duplex scanning up to 300 pages per minute. Now, everything before this was always referred to as images
Images.
per minute. So if
Yeah.
you did 300 images per
300
minute
pages is
on
600
duplex
images.
is 150 pages.
Yeah. If you did 300 images,
Correct.
but they're saying 300 pages.
300 pages per minute. It says duplex scanning up to 300 pages per minute. So I would interpret that as 300
Page?
duplex pages per minute.
Yeah. And if you say the ADF is big, that, like I said, it's almost a ream.
Yeah, I can fit it.
So it's 600 images, maybe.
I'm going to have to look that up because that would be quite impressive. So then it goes on to say new AI powered orientation detection and support for continuous scans of small format documents such as business cards and a fish document workflow.
So it'll recognize what's on the glass. Is that what it says?
It's kind of seems like it's using almost the same software they put in their 4510 with the Fujitsu Fujitsu scanner. I gotta look at a brochure of this. Maybe
That would make sense to me.
am I missing something here? I don't think I am.
How many light production units do you sell, Art?
Two. Just the Ricohs.
How many have you sold personally? Or how many goes through the dealership? 10?
I don't know how many goes through the dealership, but I can tell you maybe a dozen
All right.
of the light production.
One a month.
Oh, but no, not for the past year, for the past few years. So
One a
it's
decade.
interesting. The document feeder is large. It can handle 300 pages from what I'm looking at. So I want to go to the specs on the brochure. And of course, I'm looking at a brochure. Okay, here we are. A Ricoh USA brochure, right?
Mm.
But it's spelling color is COLOUR.
For
Well,
EMEA.
this is UK.
Yeah. Save on print costs.
Stacker.
It makes it seem more intelligent.
Yeah, really, by adding the U. Well, let's just add a different, an additional vowel here. I'm going to look up the scanner specs. Scanner specs.
What is it?
And
Hmm.
why would they have scanner specs?
They don't or they do?
I'm looking at all the accessories. The scanner is not an accessory. It says specifications.
What's it called? What is it? A Ricoh what?
C5410. Pro C5410. And it's got print controllers.
Oh, really? More than one that you can.
Yeah, there's a 5400 and a 5410. Basically, the only difference is the print speed.
Yeah. What are they doing on the controller side? Curious.
You can either get an embedded controller or you can get a fiery controller.
Fiery's still around.
Yeah. Well, they're owned by Epson now.
Yeah. I guess I had forgotten that.
But it's interesting. It doesn't give me any specs for the scanning on the brochure.
Hang on. Mine's chugging along here, finding all sorts of good stuff.
Using AI.
Yeah. I'm using Chat 04 Mini High. It tells you what it's thinking. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. This is going to only add more confusion. Single pass color duplex, color with a U. ADF. You're going to love this one. 220 sheets at 81.4 grams GSMs. 250 sheets at 64 to 68 GSMs. Single pass color, scan speed up to 150 images per minute or 300 images per minute duplex. So it says images, not pages.
That's what I thought. So in this
I
case,
got some lists. Yeah, and it's Europe.
No, go ahead.
It's got a link, opening up the link to, looks like the US. I don't see color. Go back to boy, I forgot what these things look like. Looking at a spec sheet, 4-drum, blah, 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 blah. First copy out. Now that's very important.
Extremely important.
Paper cap. Where'd the scanning go? Fax. Oof, you can put a fax in that thing.
Yeah, you can. We've seen that before. We've actually lost business because somebody wanted a fax in it.
In their production.
Yep, but that was years ago.
Um,
So even on the
oh, wow. It's all the finishing.
even
Well,
on the yeah, it's even on this other brochure I pulled up the spelling color COLOUR.
well, this is 150,000 is the monthly volume rec.
Right.
But you know what? This is not showing me anything on the scan.
Me neither. So at this point in time, I think we've just got to say ChatGPT is right. And the Ricoh brochure, somebody in marketing, maybe we should call them, right?
Call 'em. Oh, they got enough problems. Yeah, file formats, scan destinations, email, network folders, blah, blah, blah. Scan res all the way up to 1200 DPI. Twain scanning. Single pass, color duplex, ADF, 220 sheets, scan speed, 150 images per minute. That's what this says. And on the actual spec sheet for drums, doesn't say any document feeder. 220 sheets, single pass color. Here it is on the spec sheet. I see it. Scanning up to 300 IPMs.
Right, 300
Yeah,
IPMs,
it's
not
documented right there on the US spec sheet,
right, but not
not what you
pages
read.
like the brochure says.
Correct.
Oh, we're giving Ricoh a lot of airtime today, huh?
I guess so. Pointing out their errors. That's all right. Not
So
much.
let's talk. I know it's in here somewhere. We can spend the last 15 minutes on the sneak peek.
Sneak peek. Is
Converge, Tampa.
that what it's called? Converge?
Yeah, for Twain Converge.
Yeah. Twain Converge. Okay. Yeah. Hey, yeah. When is that sneak peek?
So it's so actually there's a webinar next week
Yeah,
for the sneak peek, which I posted on my site.
yeah, and that's just what it's going to go over what's going to be what's going to be reviewed.
Correct.
It's reviewing what's going to be talked about then.
Right. Major industry trends, strategic opportunities, securing the pipeline, why cybersecurity is critical to AI, um, leveraging C2PA and content verification to build trust in AI, which is interesting because Kevin spoke about that last week, remember? With the images
Yes.
that were going on LinkedIn. And if everybody clicked on it, they'd know where that image came from.
Yeah, with the little sealer, or not the sealer, almost like the little trademark, a copy. It's not even a copyright. Yeah, I know. It was a logo, It was an embedded logo
Yeah.
that. Anyway, yeah. So, between now and then, there's going to be so many changes. We got the big two lawsuits going on right now, but what New York Times and Disney. Disney is suing everyone that created a Mickey Mouse lookalike or any of it.
Really?
Yeah, through again, I'm not a lawyer, but it's going to be like through Mid-Journey, through the platforms that are graphic AI things. So it was bound to happen. We're going to see what happens. I mean, there's who owns The Simpsons? Is it Disney? Disney doesn't own The Simpsons. Anyway,
I have no clue.
yeah. So there's a lawsuit because of that image. Looks, I don't know how it's going. This is going to be very, very, very interesting. Now, the New York Times is suing OpenAI. And that's why OpenAI just this week announced that they're keeping everything, all your chats, all your messages forever because of this case. And the New York Times wants to go through them all to see how the training was in. The premise here is that OpenAI used their content to train the models. All right, that's dubious for me to start. Secondly, they're going to see by as an ancillary thing with that, the court has ordered OpenAI to not delete any conversations. So in theory, all of your conversations that you've had, even the ones that are private, right, are in the cloud in OpenAI's cloud systems.
Right.
So they're all open, and you know who knows what the court can do with it or the prosecutor on that side or the other side of the lawsuit. So that's a big issue. Between now and the end, I don't even know if it gets settled by the end. It probably won't get settled for a long time, but there's going to be stuff going on between now and then. But Converge is so what else is it, and it's so let's back up a little. So Twain is the stand as a standard for scanning, right? Twain scanners. that's a communication standard, correct? Is that how you understand it? It's the way I
Um,
understood it back in the olden days.
so Twain is more like your MPS.
Well, yes, it's an association like ANSI,
It's an
and Scott.
association.
Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah. And they created a standard, Twain standard. Twain scanning's been around forever. It was actually
They
free.
created their own API.
Well, yeah, and their own how documents are scanned and what format they are when it's scanned. And then everyone adopted Twain. Twain was because when you want in the old days, you would plug your desktop flatbed scanners had to be Twain compliant, or your software had to be Twain compliant. I remember that. So
Right,
they've been around
or
forever.
you couldn't scan.
You couldn't scan. Right. There were
Correct.
other scanning standards. I think IBM had their own scanning standard, maybe even PageMaker, but it was a hardware software interface thing. That's 30
Correct.
years ago. Yeah. So Twain has is an association. Now they had this meeting. This meeting last year, right? The same type of thing.
Correct. November, same type of thing. It was about attendance was about 50 professionals there.
Okay.
Had some good content, but this year I believe they're going to have up to 100 or more, and it's going to blow it out with a lot of different trends. And the biggest one is the trend you and I are working on, along with Kevin, is for the Cricket MFP
Yeah.
supply proof of concept.
So just to explain the proof of concept, it's exactly that. The whole idea is to introduce robotics into the channel, and this illustration example proof of concept is going to show robots moving, quote unquote, toner. The idea is to cut down on the traffic inside an office that has to do with copiers and feeding the copier, toner cartridges, paper, et cetera, et cetera.
That's correct.
Right? Okay.
I just had to explain it to an OEM this morning, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Who's possibly, we should find out in a couple of days if they're going to be on board, which I think is, I think it's got a real good chance.
Yeah.
But I had to explain the sandbox concept of what
Okay.
we're doing in a proof of concept, right?
Right.
We're going to have a MFP in the sandbox, whatever manufacturer that's going to be. And in the sandbox, we're going to have our robot. And our robot is going to be able to take verbal commands.
Okay.
In another corner of the sandbox, we're going to have items that represent a toner cartridge, a waste toner cartridge, a staple cartridge. We're going to have 3 different ones. We could have even put something in for maybe a ream of paper.
Right.
So you got to understand a robot's like only going to be about 24 inches high and doesn't have a lot of grasping power. But our proof of concept is we're going to tell the robot to go get me the toner cartridge, bring it to the machine.
Right.
It's going to go over to the supply area, pick up that 3-dimensional object, and bring it to the MFP. We're going to then tell it in succession to do the toner cartridge, staple cartridge, waste toner cartridge, and it's going to bring it to the machine. In addition, we're going to train the brain. We're going to load it up with a service manual for one of these brands of copiers. And then we're going to interact with the robot who can listen and speak. And we're going to start asking it questions about service. Like, I have an SC 545 code on my whatever brand machine. What does that mean? The robot will respond. Mm-hmm. We will then say, is that something we can fix, or do we need to use service? The robot will then say either you can fix it or you can't fix it. And at that point in time, so if it's something simple, and again, we're just in that programming process now, right?
Mhm.
It can give the user hints on how to rectify the problem, turn the machine off, turn the machine back on, see if it clears, right?
Right.
If it's a service related issue, we can say, okay, this is your heater lamp in your fuser, and it's showing an error code that the heater lamp is not working.
Mhm.
Would you like to call your service and support company, or would you like us to enter the service ticket?
Right.
So
Very cool.
the sandbox is it's just the tip of the iceberg. Like I told somebody this morning, at some point in time, our industry, our channel is the best channel to start getting involved in robotics be, before we don't have a chance,
Yeah.
right? Before maybe somebody else moves into it, because we were staying status quo, right? And we just thought, well, copiers are going to last forever.
Mhm.
Well, they're not going to last forever. But at some point in time during the next 10 years, dealers are going to need to make up their profit margins by not having as many prints, by the declining print volume.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So just to summarize real quick, so we're gonna have a proof of concept at scale. So a smaller robot, but it'll walk around on the floor. It'll take verbal commands. This thing's got 3D cameras, LiDAR, and an NVIDIA Jetson. So they'll have an LLM. It'll be able to respond to voice commands. It'll have
Yep.
cameras that can do recognition. It'll have what is it, collision avoidance. So if it's delivering something, someone stands in the way, it'll go around it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that, and you're right, it's just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg, and we think I guess the channel is ready for something like it's actually perfect for reselling and B2B robots, androids, and humanoids.
It's
It's perfectly
endless.
set up.
It's
Yeah.
endless. I watched the video the other day of a robot actually sorting through recycled
Yep.
materials in the office.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You
think the
know,
channel's ready for it, and here's the biggest thing is that it is so big. Right? I mean, we're talking the TAM is huge. The total addressable market you can imagine. If you think about a robot in every garage, I'm not saying that, but that's a lot. So, but if you look at all the office buildings and you put 2 or 3 in each office building to do something, something, something,
it could get bigger
right?
than the copier
Woo! Oh yeah,
easily,
it could be
easily.
as big as the copiers were when they were really big.
Right.
And also, here's another thing: is like our model set up for service, on-site service, SLAs, things like that. Um, you can measure foot, linear feet traveled. You can measure all sorts of things on these. So
Yep.
if you want to slide a service manual, and again, we're talking over, well, not over, we're talking near horizon stuff. It's already over. It's coming. The trick that we're talking about though is got to get in relatively quickly because the big boys will come in and they'll just, I mean, bigger than anything we're working with. The Konicas and this would be like, they're bigger than Xerox. We're talking about Teslas and things like that that bring their big androids in. Anyway, now's the time, and you're right. I think, boy, that's going to be pretty cool in November. Is art is the theme robotics, or is that just part of the?
The theme is converge, so it's going to have a number of different talk tracks.
Okay,
But one of the major talk track is going to be our proof of concept,
okay, all right.
right?
Oh,
And
and I
that's
forgot to mention. I mean, it's an LLM, so there's going to be possibility of some training of some sort. I remember that coming up as a possibility.
yeah,
So
and it taught in a conversation I had this morning. Think
yeah,
about this, and my other party mentioned this. They said when somebody leaves the company, right? What do they, not only do they they lose the person, but what else do they lose?
I mean, all the training, all the knowledge between the
The
ears.
knowledge between
Yeah,
the ears,
yeah,
right?
classic. Well, yeah, I
So,
mean, I know where you're going.
so when you talk about training, right? Whatever you feed, whatever you feed into it, your paper-based documents can be fed into it, but you can also You can also, and hey, I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, before you leave, one of your exit, we're going to have an exit interview with you. And we're going to record this so we don't lose your knowledge. I mean, why not?
Well, I could think of many reasons, but that's
But
not the
if
point.
that's part of your exit protocol that you signed on for,
The robot will learn in the field though too.
well, correct. The robot will learn in the field, but for that knowledge in here,
Yeah, that's
for
a tough one to get, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
again, I'm just thinking outside
I
the
know.
box here, right?
I know.
So our event's going to be on November 12th and 13th. We're going to be at Safety Harbor Resort in which is just outside of Tampa. So I'd say it's a neat little area. I was there last year.
Is it a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or how is that?
November
Back up.
12th, and it's probably a Wednesday, Thursday. Trying to bring up my calendar. You have your calendar up?
No, but
And my calendar refuses to come up. Hold on, I can go
I
back.
got it.
I got it. Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday. All right. I wonder who's in town playing the Buccaneers if they're in town.
Could be a possibility. I know last year a game in at the what's the name of the place in Louisiana?
Oh,
Game got canceled because of the hurricane. And they moved it to Tampa.
oh yeah,
Right.
the Kingdom, not the Kingdom.
Kingdom? Is it?
No,
Yeah. Some other dome, right? We should know it. So anyway, it's the 11th and the 12th. I'm going to get there a day early. I'm going to get there on the 11th. I'll probably end up leaving on the 14th. But it's a really nice little area outside of Tampa. That's right on the Gulf of America.
Cool.
Other
Yeah.
than that, we've hit 5 o'clock, 5:01 to be exact.
Oh,
And
perfect. All right.
This is our witching hour, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Greg and I have fun with this, and we'd like you to please like, follow, and share. We're almost up to 2,000 subscribers now, so we're steadily climbing, and hopefully by this time next year we'll be up to 10,000.
Cool. Yeah. Anything special coming up next week? I don't think so.
Yeah, end of the month for my quarter, which
that's
is special.
A quarter too. Yeah. Wow. All
For
right.
all the other salespeople, end of June will be a half year point.
Tick tock.
For everybody who's on the physical year.
All
And
right, cool.
BTA National Conference is next week in New Mexico.
Are we having any special theme for our session next week? I don't think so.
On the 20th? No.
All right.
Yeah, you know what? I think next week is time for robotics and humanoids.
Well, perfect. I'll start prepping tonight.
And I guess we can talk about it now. We don't have anything planned for July 4th.
Oh, wow.
That's a Friday.
Okay. We'll have to think about it.
Yeah, we'll have to think about it. Fireworks, barbecues, hot dogs,
Guns,
burgers,
and fire trucks, and well, not hookers, but you know,
potato salad.
potato salad. Yeah, we have an outdoor one. Okay, cool.
Everybody have a good weekend.
Yes, have a good one.